Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So good to be back after a brief break in which I was, of course, spending time with my new wife. Oh my god, right? As someone who for the longest time thought he was going to be single forever, the fact that I got married last month is nuts. It just goes to show you that there is somebody out there for everyone. So if you are lonely and you want to find someone, don't despair, you can too. But that is not what we are going to talk about today. We are going back to the channel's roots as a D&D channel. Some of the earliest videos I made were DM tips and tricks because that was the original theme I was going to have for the channel, but we clearly went another way. However, I am still a big fan of D&D. I do love to play, I love to DM, and I also love to listen to D&D podcasts and playthroughs on YouTube. Now, from the very first time I started watching Critical Role to help learn kind of how D&D functioned when I was going to DM the first time, I have noticed that there is a desire of some players in D&D that is a little controversial in the 5e community. Now, this is, of course, the Gunslinger class. Now, there are Gunslingers in Pathfinder. I think there probably were, at least to some extent, in 3.5, maybe even 4, but 5 as it is now, there is no straight-up gunslinger class, though firearms do make an appearance from time to time. But I do see a lot of podcasts making kind of a homebrew class for somebody who is more or less a gunslinger. I mean, they could just be someone with like a Derringer pistol, or I've even seen ones where they're trying to make them kind of styled like Old West cowboys. But the thing is that I don't normally allow for a lot of homebrew in my games because I don't see the need to reinvent the wheel. If you can think of something, there's probably a way to do it in-game as the game is written. But as recently I have also been replaying Red Dead Redemption 2, I have gotten the urge to create a, Wild West outlaw gunslinger desperado character, and you know what? Time for me to, walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So today, I'm going to show you how, in a raw setting, rules as written, you too can make a quote-unquote Wild West outlaw gunslinger. Alright, we're going to start this build at level 1 with a variant human ranger. I'm going to go ahead and name this character Atticus Birch. Now, I'm taking Atticus as kind of a man trying to get a second chance at life. He used to run with a gang of prairie bandits, but they, for one reason or another, Atticus has left their company and is trying to make his own way with a second chance. Now, due to his upbringing, he's going to have the background of Outlander, but he's also going to have the alignment of neutral evil. Now, I know alignment doesn't really mean much in D&D these days, but I see it as Atticus is a man who, while he's trying to be good, sometimes he does want to take the easy way out. And since neutral evil was always described as a creature that's just going to do whatever they can get away with, when it's in his best interest to be good, he's going to be good. But if he thinks he can do something and get away scot-free, well, he just might take that chance. Though this is more due to like stealing and robbing, not so much trying to hurt others. Still, I don't see Atticus as a good man, but he is trying to be better, so maybe that alignment will change throughout the adventure. Now, as a level 1 ranger, his fighting style is going to be dueling, and his favorite terrain is going to be the grasslands. Also, his favorite enemy is going to be beasts. I figure he would have met with wolves and other things trying to attack them out on the prairie, maybe even the cattle they were rustling if that's what they were doing. So beast seems like a decent favorite enemy. Now, when I rolled up this character, I got the following numbers: 11, 16, 13, 10, 15, and 9. Now, I just read those off in the order of which I put the traits. His strength is going to be 11. He's a perfectly capable young man, but he's not a brawler. He's an average build and strength. Now, as a ranger though, his dexterity, well, that's going to be his highest trait, 16. Constitution, I'm going to slap that 13 in there. He has lived a little bit of a rough and tumble life, slept under the stars, so he would have above average constitution. His intelligence is a straight 10. Now, he ain't a man of book learning, but he's no dummy. He can probably read and write his name, but if you asked him what his favorite poem was, he'd probably give you a limerick he heard in a bar once. Like any good ranger, he's picked up a decently high wisdom trait of a score of a 15. That's just, living out under the stars, you'll learn a thing or two. Maybe not them fancy college learning, but he knows the ways of the prairie. But like I said, he ran with a rough crowd. He ain't the best man in the world, so that 9, that -1, well, that's going to be his charisma. He ain't much of a smooth talker, but he tells it like it is. Now here's where we get to kind of flavoring your ranger as a bit of a Wild West desperado type. And this is still raw, but we're going to flavor these in their appearance to kind of make it work. Now, a ranger starts with 2 short swords, but really you're only going to need 1. So that 1 short sword, well, that's going to be a machete. As soon as you can, you're going to sell the 2nd short sword, you're going to pick up a dagger, only we're going to reskin it as a bowie knife. Now, as for his armor, well, he's going to have some scale mail, but he's got some nice cloth over that, so that scale mail, well, that's his serape, as well as his long-brimmed hat. Longbow and arrows? Well, you don't need to reskin that at all. Plenty of cowboys knew how to use a bow and arrow, and we're going to go ahead and give him the Explorer's Pack. Now, I did say that Atticus is a variant human, so instead of increasing all of his stats by 1, we're going to instead increase 2 stats by 1, and then take a feat. Now, keeping these in character, we're going to go ahead and up his wisdom score to a 16, and his constitution to a 14, giving him some stat increases that also go with his life on the prairie, so to speak. Now for that feat, we're going to go ahead and take Mounted Combatant. While there's no way in rules as written for you to start with a horse, you're going to want to get one as soon as you possibly can. And taking the Mounted Combatant feat just makes it a little easier to conduct battle while atop your trusted noble steed. Now, as for your skill proficiencies, you're going to have some from Ranger, some from Outlander, and then you get one of your choice being a variant human. Now, the Outlander background gives you proficiency on both athletics as well as survival, both good ones for this character. The Ranger class lets you pick 3 of the following proficiencies: animal handling, athletics, which we already have, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival, which again, that one we already have. Now, since you're going to want to be riding a horse, you're definitely going to want to take the animal handling. You should probably also take nature. And then, just for shits and giggles, I feel like insight would do some good. And we get to pick one more with our variant human trait, and like I said, since I don't see Atticus as a good man, I'm going to go ahead and take sleight of hand. Now, of course, as a human, Atticus knows Common, but I'm going to go ahead and say that he also knows Orcish due to being allowed to take one other language, and I figure if he ran with some rough and tumble characters, he probably met an orc or 2 in his day and had to learn to communicate with them. And more or less, at level 1, that is Atticus Birch. Alright, now we're going to see what Atticus is up to in level 2, and it does appear I spoke too soon. You actually get your fighting style at level 2, and again, we are going to take Duelist. This, of course, gives you increased damage when you are wielding only one weapon, and all the coolest of the gunslingers only ever used one weapon at a time. Was never a big fan of the dualies myself. Now, it's at this level that a ranger starts learning spell casting as well, and you get to have 2 level 1 spells. So we're going to go ahead and take Hunter's Mark and Cure Wounds. And other than that, not much else happens to Atticus at level 2. I figure Hunter's Mark is good because he can track things, and then also Cure Wounds because, being an outlaw, you might have to patch yourself up after a run-in every so often, so I figured that spell's probably pretty good. Alright, we're rolling into level 3, where Atticus gets his primeval awareness, as well as his ranger archetype. As for what type of archetype we're going to go with, well, of course we're going to go with Beastmaster. Now, in my own game, I would have no problem with Atticus taking a horse to be his animal companion, but that is not allowed in rules as written due to the horse being a large animal, so we're going to go ahead and go with the hawk. Atticus can send the hawk out, scouting. The hawk can help him when he's trying to see a target. And because of Atticus and his hawk, we're going to go ahead, as Atticus gets one more level 1 spell, we're going to go ahead and give him Talk with Animals. And that's pretty much all that happens at level 3. Alright guys, before we get to level 4, which will be the final level we're going to talk about today, let me tell you a brief little bit about my business, Chimera Miniatures. I make all kinds of custom miniatures, both safe for work and not safe for work, as well as I do take commissions, so if you have something you're looking for, please let me know. I also sell all manners of collectibles, whether they be action figures, Pokemon cards, pretty much anything I get my hands on that has a little bit of value and is collectible. I will put it up for sale on eBay and Mercari, and I also sell some of my miniatures on Etsy, so be sure to check the links, and without further ado, let's get to level 4. Alright guys, here we are at level 4, which will be the final level that we will talk about today, as by the time this level is done, it will pretty much be, you'll know what to do with Atticus from here on out. Now level 4 is the first level that gives you the ability to increase an ability score. Or, you can choose not to do so and take a feat, and that's exactly what we're gonna do with Atticus here. Now my recommendation is to take one of two different feats, and it's going to depend on how you want to play Atticus. If you want Atticus to be shooting things from a distance with his longbow, well, then I would recommend taking the sharpshooter feat, as that is going to allow that to be much more effective. If you want to play him as a no-good outlaw who starts bar brawls, well then of course you're going to want to take the Tavern Brawler. Either of these will work, it just depends on how you want to play the character. And that's what we do in level 4. Now, at this point, you're probably asking yourself and asking me, Mr. Sean, why wouldn't we take the crossbow expert? That would get us the ability not to have to load the crossbow, and that would be that'd be pretty good. Using the crossbow in place of, say, a 6-shooter. Good idea, but I definitely do not want to. I don't just want a crossbow to take the place of a gun. So that's not what we're gonna do. You're probably saying, well, if that's not what we're doing, it doesn't really feel like a gunslinger. It just feels like a ranger that you gave a cowboy outfit to. And now here's the thing, you're gonna have to talk to your DM about this one, because while it is not homebrew, you're gonna have to acquire a magical item to really bring this build together. And that item is a single wand of magic missiles. Now it may be hard to get your DM to let you start off with this item, though I do know some DMs do let their players each start off with a magical item within reason. Or you may have to pick it up in your journeys, which is one of the reasons I had us level all the way up to level 4. But in my mind, this is how Atticus gets his wand of magic missiles. His gang came upon a caravan that they robbed, and in the crossfire, a magic user, maybe a wizard, who knows, was killed. And off of his body, Atticus looted this wand. Once he learned what its properties were, he realized what a good weapon this could be. Now, I definitely believe that using the Wand of Magic Missile in place of an actual gun it works perfectly in my mind and keeps everything still firmly planted in fantasy. Now, a Wand of Magic Missile has 7 charges, and each charge allows you to cast allows for a single casting of Magic Missile. It regains 1d6 plus 1 charges at the start of every day. If you use the final charge, you have to roll and risk the item crumbling into dust. So, knowing what the weapon does and how valuable it is, Atticus would never use more than 6 charges unless it was dire straits, therefore making this wand a literal 6-shooter. Now, Magic Missile is a really good spell, don't get me wrong, but it's not OP. It allows you to cast 3 darts that deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage, and it never misses. So it's very effective, but it's not gonna down a boss character. But if you were, say, an outlaw holding up a tavern, a Wand of Magic Missile, if you wanted to expend 6 charges, allowing if you wanted to, each casting of Magic Missile could essentially kill 3 peasants. So while Atticus might be trying to turn his life around, this item would definitely be fitting for a raiding outlaw to have possessed if they could get a hold of one to begin with. Again, it might be a little too powerful for a first level character, but certainly by the time you get to level 4, I think it would be safe for the DM to go ahead and let the character obtain one of these. And basically, you just, I imagine Atticus would have a holster that he would keep it in, and he could take it out at a moment's notice and let off a few castings of Magic Missile if he got into trouble. And that, my friends, is how, using the rules as written, you can make yourself a Wild West Clint Eastwood style quote-unquote gunslinger without having to use any homebrew. I think it's important to remember that when we set out to play a game, that it's important not to try and reinvent the wheel. Most of these things have already been thought of, and there's ways you can do it. Yes, you can reskin things for flavor, but I think adding actual guns, especially if it's not something that's just common in the area, so of course it reeks of main character syndrome, where the player wants to be this mysterious figure with a mysterious weapon of unknown origin like you've never seen before. It just reeks of, I want everyone to think I'm super cool. But if you do this right, you can still be that cool dude, but you're following the rules. Nobody has to give you special treatment, and ultimately, I think that creates a better game for everybody. So until next time, everybody, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Chimera Miniatures. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe join the Patreon, maybe buy a mini, who knows? But I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!